And good evening. Welcome into Lincoln. I'm your ever so gracious host, Sean Wheat. So glad you're with me tonight. And tonight we've also got my special guest co-host, because if you didn't know, I have a special guest co-host every other week when we're on. It's an every other week show. And this week it is Dr. Austin Horn. He is a LOPT doctor of physical therapy. Good evening, Austin.
Good evening to you. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you. Yeah. I know that we threw him into it last minute. We were getting everything set up, and he replied at the 16th hour saying, I will do it. And I was so happy because I go to LOPT, and I was like, man, there's a lot of stuff I didn't even know about. But Austin, give us a brief rundown. Tell us who you are, what you do, why you're a doctor, and if just any other random fact about you.
Yeah. Born and raised in Lincoln. Like I said, my name is Austin Horn. I'm a physical therapist for LOPT. I work at the Speedway location, which is kind of off of Highway 77 in West Van Dorn, out there. I've been a physical therapist for about 5 years now. And I went into it because I love helping people, and I like relationships. So it's fun to be able to build relationships with people and help them get back to doing the things that they love to do and the things in their life that make life significant and meaningful.
When you tell a doctor that you want to take away his business, he doesn't like that very much. But the whole entire goal, and this is your goal too, is to get people to where they don't have to come see you anymore, right?
I tell people my job is to work myself out of a job. If I do my job well, then I work myself out of a job.
I love that story. Mm-hmm. All right, well, the whole point of the show is to talk about that, but we're not going to do that just yet. We're going to talk about something just rando that I always like to talk about. I don't like to talk about some of this stuff, but it's of interest. And you actually know more about this, and you know more probably about everything we're talking about today. I'm just kind of pushing the buttons here. You're the guy in charge. Because my special guest co-host, as I was telling Austin earlier, is he has as much to say. He could chime in at any moment. He could bring up any rando topic, and we'll talk about it because you're your host just like me. So, first of all, the big thing going on tomorrow in Nebraska is about a boxer. Tell me what you know about this boxer, because I'm not from Nebraska, and the whole entire thing of Lincoln is you're linking all of us together to kind of give us an idea of what's going on. So what do you know? Well,
I just learned today that there's a parade in Omaha tomorrow for Bud Crawford, who one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world right now. He just beat Canelo Alvarez a couple weeks ago, which was big. So Omaha native that is 40, I think he's 43-0 now in his boxing career, and one of the all-time greats.
And
so
I'm sure, I'm not a sports person, but I'm sure he's probably got a physical therapist somewhere in his mix because he's an athlete, right?
Probably has his own personal PT, trainer, you name it. Yeah.
I don't get, I should have gone to the top five. We're actually going to do the top five on things you can do that are healthy to keep yourself away from his office, but healthy lifestyle stuff. But would you say boxing is probably the biggest, or what would be the biggest sport that would need a physical therapist?
Right now, the data would say that pickleball is probably the highest injury rates. Yeah,
you're kidding.
It's the fastest growing sport in the country. So you get people of all ages playing, and there's a lot of pickleball injuries. So
pickleball players, be careful. But they say that pickleball is the lazy man's tennis.
Yeah,
and yet you're seeing the most injuries from pickleball.
Yeah, I don't know if I personally do, but I think across the country, that's probably the most common sport to have an injury right now, at least with how popular it is. But
I'm trying to wrap my head around all that.
Sure. I think some of it too is some people who are maybe less active, they get into it and they get hooked on it and start doing a lot of activity when they're not used to a lot, and maybe a little more susceptible to overuse injuries or things like that.
And by the way, you know what? I always say this about some professions: never trust a skinny cook. And you probably should never trust a bigger physical therapist, because physical therapists are about making your lifestyle better. I mean, would you agree with that? I mean,
sure. And to some degree, it's if you hired a personal trainer and they weren't in great shape, you probably wouldn't trust them as much per se, or a dietitian or something. But I try to practice what I preach, and a lot of the exercise I do with patients, I do myself on a regular basis to try to stay healthy and do everything I can to reduce injury risk and be healthy and active.
And see, this is where as many of you can see, I'm not the most physically fit person in the world. Although I've played sports, I just, got older, and then I got a job that wasn't so active, and things kind of got away from me. So I'm going to be listening very intently because, and I actually, since you're a doctor, I do have questions in regards to healthy. Okay. I'm gonna stop because I don't want to give away everything here in the first segment here. But back to pickleball. I really
Okay.
want to get back to pickleball.
Yeah.
So you say you're seeing a lot of orthopedic injuries from pickleball, and
Yeah.
as you said, because people are becoming a little bit more active. But
Mhm.
is it like knee injuries, or are they hurting their shoulders because they're swinging too hard, or all of the above?
Yeah, I think you get a mix. The pastor of our church actually popped his bicep tendon off his shoulder here playing pickleball. You'll see a lot of lower body injuries too. Knee, ankle, foot. Yeah.
We're not breaking
Kind of
any
the whole-
patient-doctor confidentiality
as
here.
as
are we?
long as I don't share full names or personal data and stuff, health data, then no, we're good.
Well, we
So.
know he's a pastor, so the pastor's out there watching for you. No, I'm kidding. All right, so that just surprises me, pickleball, because I'm thinking football, I'm thinking
Sure.
boxing, because
Yeah.
you're getting
Yeah.
beat up.
Yeah.
I mean MMA, I would think too.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah, and that's not necessarily percentage of people who play a sport that get hurt, but just I think because pickleball has become so popular, there's more people playing it also, so there's probably more likelihood of injury. I know basketball is a very high injury rate for sport. It's a very active, high intensity sport, so a lot of impact and stuff.
Do you play pickleball?
I do. Yeah, I
Are
do.
you any good at it?
Yeah. Not bad. Yeah, I like it. I played more before. We have 2 boys now. Our oldest boy's 3. Once he was born, I haven't played as much, but I do like to play when we get a chance to get out and play.
See, I played tennis in high school.
Oh,
and
okay.
then basketball.
Okay.
If you think somebody my size played football, I could have, I should have, I didn't because I just didn't.
Yeah.
But basketball and tennis. But I was the classic AV nerd.
If you played tennis, I bet you'd be good at pickleball.
I think you're right, and I actually have pickleball stuff because my kids, my daughter especially, wanted to learn how to play tennis, and since she knew I knew how to play, so I got a pickleball set because it has a net that came with the pack. That way I can set it up in my driveway and we can hit over a net.
Yep.
So I've got the stuff, but I just haven't played it yet.
Yeah.
Pickleball. I'd rather play tennis because that's what I know.
Sure. All my friends who play tennis are good at pickleball. I don't think I've met a tennis player who's bad at pickleball.
I would say if they play tennis, they've got pickleball down to science. But
I think with tennis, there's a big learning curve for tennis. My sister played tennis. So I'll play with her and family sometimes, but there's a big learning curve with tennis. I think the entry point to pickleball, it's a lot less steep learning curve, which is helpful.
And also I think with pickleball, it's probably a lot easier to keep because you're not hitting so far. So keeping your wrists firm when you're hitting it over the net. With tennis, I mean, twisting your wrist is so easy. And I learned well, first of all, I had that my problem when I was playing tennis, but also my daughter, she's just swinging it, and of course her wrist goes sideways, and people can't see me, but it goes sideways. I mean, you start off, I'm trying to put it in camera view here. You start off like this, but when you swing, you're generally moving up. And so that's what makes it difficult to hit that ball straight.
And it doesn't take a whole lot of rotation there to really send one way long or over the fence there. Whereas pickleball, I think you got a little more margin for error, which helps.
Because you don't have to hit it so far. You
Sure.
don't have to hit it as hard either. I don't know.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about actual physical therapy and what he does, obviously, what Dr. Arson does. And of course, we have our top 5 of healthy lifestyles, which, again, I need to pay a little bit more attention to. So that's coming up here in just a minute, so stay tuned. You're watching Lincoln. If I can hit the button. There it is. And welcome back to Lincoln. I'm Sean Wheat with my special guest co-host, and he is Dr. Austin Horn. He is with the LOPT, or the Lincoln Orthopedic Physical Therapy, and he is a doctor of physical therapy. A whole bunch of physical therapy in there, but we got to get it all in there because we got to give him the proper credit that he deserves. So. Thank you so much again for being here and being a special guest co-host today.
Absolutely.
Because it was passed off by, I'm going to mention names here, but Ben, and Ben's been working with my daughter on physical therapy. You could have done it, but he's worried because he gets made fun of a lot. Do you know why he gets made fun of a lot for?
I don't know.
What's the best thing about Iowa? Leaving.
Leaving.
If you're a Husker fan, you get that. And, of course, Ben's from Iowa. I'm sure he does not appreciate me saying that, but I've got to give him a hard time since he skipped out on doing this with me.
I worked with Ben for a couple of years at his office, and we gave him a hard time for that a lot. Sadly, they would beat us most years, so then we didn't have a whole lot to say after that.
You tuck tail when you're around him.
Yes,
I get it. But he's a good sport. I enjoy working. I don't work with Ben. I just sit there and watch him work with my daughter. So, my daughter, if you don't remember, if you haven't seen, she was a guest of mine here on the show a couple months back. So make sure you go to 1011.com, go to the streaming studio page, and you can find it. She's talking about back to school. She's a softball player. She had an ankle injury over the summer, and that's why she goes. I mean, I'm not afraid to talk about it because she's my daughter, and it's nothing embarrassing. I mean, it happens. And athletic, you probably see a lot of athletes in your office because they sprain an ankle, they break a bone, they do. But what's the difference between regular physical therapy and orthopedic physical therapy?
Sure. Yeah. Orthopedic physical therapy would be, injuries of, different muscles, joints of the body, with the primary focus being recovery from those injuries, versus, what I do would be called outpatient. So someone comes from their house to our clinic, we treat them, then they go back home, versus inpatient would be kind of the other big divider in physical therapy. And that would be people who are staying at a hospital, nursing home, something like that, where they stay there and they're treated in that location for physical therapy. So orthopedic tends to be more on the outpatient side. So people come into your office and dealing with more of those kind of muscle joints kind of issues, versus, maybe other, domains of PT could be like neurological conditions, or things of that nature.
Now, do you geek out over this stuff? I mean, is this like your passion?
I do. I nerd out on it a lot, and I like to read a lot about it, learn a lot about it, and yeah. All
right. Well, so they say when you enjoy what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
And so in this case, that's what you do.
I love my job. I do.
Now, did you play any sports?
I did. Played basketball all 4 years of high school, football and baseball up until sophomore year.
And did you ever have to visit an orthopedic surgeon, or not surgeon, but an orthopedic physical therapist because of an injury? Is that what kind of got you into it, or?
Both, yes, a surgeon and a PT. I tore my ACL the first day of summer after my junior year in a basketball game. Had a ACL surgery and then had months of PT after that. So that was part of it for sure. I got to see from the inside out what that looks like and helping people recover from, for me, some pretty dark days after surgery where things felt pretty bleak and you're in a lot of pain and can't do a whole lot, to getting back to playing basketball. So it was fun to see that from the inside out. And yeah, my neighbor growing up was a physical therapist as well. He works for LPT still. And I always thought it was cool, if I have questions about, the body or health or different injuries that would pop up, he knew the answers. I thought it was cool to kind of have that knowledge base and be able to help people with those kind of things. So
now, do you had to become a physical therapy doctor, or a doctor of physical therapy? Excuse me, I got to get this right. Did you have to go to med school just like everybody else, or is it different?
Yeah, we go. So you have to have your 4-year bachelor's degree, and then after that, you have to get your doctorate at a physical therapy school. So I went to the University of Nebraska Medical Center in Omaha and did an extra 3 years there. So after 7 years of school, more than I would like, got out, and now I got to do what I love.
Well, my daughter wants to be a surgeon, and she's debating what type of surgery. So, if LOPT does a good job, maybe she would want to be an orthopedic surgeon.
Okay.
Now, there's definitely some different types of orthopedic surgeons. You got spine surgeons. You've got joint and leg and foot and hand, foot, and mouth stuff. Or I don't know. I don't know all the ones, but. So now that you are a doctor, you're seeing patients, you're helping them out, and as we said earlier, your goal is to keep basically people out of your office.
Sure.
You want to get them out. You want to get them in and out as quickly as possible because A, you need to get more patients, and because there are more people that need help, but B, the primary reason is because you need to get these people back on their feet.
Yeah. My goal, I tell patients, is not just for them to be good enough to walk out the door, but also to be able to stay healthy, live healthy lives outside that. And that's somewhat ironically, I like helping people get out of pain, but I'd say almost a bigger passion of mine is to help prevent injuries and do what we can to help reduce the risk of those things from popping back up. Unfortunately, with the insurance system, usually I'm seeing someone after they've been hurt. The insurance usually won't cover things unless it's a medically necessary injury, but I really do love the injury prevention side of things, and definitely incorporate that into the later stages of rehab with patients.
I don't want to talk about insurance.
It's a mess. It's a mess.
I don't understand insurance. I get why we have it, but I also don't like it because it costs a lot of money, and then we have to still pay a lot of money.
Yes.
That's just me.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not trying to get political.
You're not alone.
I was gonna say this is probably the average. I had a friend of mine post today on Facebook his bill, and he went to the ER, and it was like $14,000 for 4 hours in the ER. I was like,
my gosh.
Oh my word! I don't get it. And you obviously have people who take care of the insurance portion of it. I pay a copay when I walk in, and still, it's just.
Yeah.
I'm sure we could have a whole entire show. I would love to get an insurance specialist on the show, and we could just bash insurance all day because that would be fun. But that's what we're here to do. So you had your own injury. You help people out with their injuries. I mean, and I don't want to go into it because we're going to go into the second segment, and we're going to talk about how to prevent coming to see you. But sometimes injuries can happen so simply. You could be just walking down the street, you hit a pebble and you twist your ankle, and you're seeing a physical therapist. I mean, so how much? I mean, is the Lincoln community served well when it comes to physical therapists? And then, okay, let me rephrase because I got this is like a two-parter question here.
Okay.
Is the Lincoln community served well, or do we need more physical therapists?
You know, I think they're served well. There's a lot of good PTs in Lincoln, a lot of good clinics around town and stuff. I know, I don't know if I feel this, but there's kind of a shortage of PTs nationally. I don't know if I feel that in Lincoln necessarily as much as other parts of the country, but they're very much in demand across the country. I know that. Being
a college town, I can see especially with the high caliber sports that we have here, why a lot of physical therapists are probably drawn to not only Nebraska, but also here. But I mean, overall, there seems to be a shortage in all fields, not just physical therapy, not just in, journalism, local journalism, stuff like that. Seems like everybody's having a rough time finding people.
Yeah, I think so. I think Nebraska probably feels it less with physical therapists specifically, because I know like the amount of PT students, between UNMC and Creighton, and then there's some other programs coming up now as well, is pretty high for the population of Nebraska compared to other states who have a really big population, less students coming out. So I think some of those states feel it probably a little bit more.
So the second part of it, and what would you say that you're seeing an influx in patients older in age, younger in age, or is it pretty much even across the board?
Sure. I'd say on average, older adults are more likely to come see a physical therapist. In my first job, when I was at kind of one of our more general clinics, we saw a decent amount of the older adult population. The place I'm at now, I definitely see a younger population because we're more of we have more of a sports kind of emphasis or sports specialty out there. So I still do see the general adult population in that area of Lincoln, but I do see a lot more athletes than a typical PT clinic would, just given we're kind of in a sports location and sports complex and have access to turf fields and other things for getting back to sports.
Do you go to like a lot of? I know that my son plays league football for the Lincoln Youth League, and there are physical therapists out there. Do you guys go to a lot of those sporting events and are on standby if necessary?
I know some of our PTs do. I personally don't. I have a friend who I know he goes to Lincoln Christian games and some other PTs that go to other different schools games and stuff there. But oftentimes schools will have like some orthopedic doctor who has a connection with that school and will be on the sideline for their football games or other sporting games too. So
that's the one I think the biggest concern is having a kid and obviously my kid's coming to your facilities, but one of the biggest concerns that I have is that there's an injury and there needs to be somebody there right away to help out
Sure.
that kid because they hurt their back, they hurt their ankle, they hurt whatever. So it's good to hear that there are physical therapists ready to go, and or even or orthopedic doctors out on the field. That's cool.
I think athletic trainers too. Most schools have an athletic trainer that's there to be ready for those kind of injuries that just pop up during a game and stuff. So I know they do a great job as well.
Okay. What's something about physical therapists or physical therapy doctors like yourself, doctors of physical therapy? I got to get it right. What is something that many people don't understand about your job or don't know about what you do?
Yeah, I think oftentimes people are maybe pleasantly surprised at all the different things we can do. So a wide variety of things from obviously prescribing exercises to even doing like joint manipulations or cracking backs, cracking necks, to dry needling, which is something I do as well. It's kind of like an acupuncture type treatment.
Oh.
There's a wider range of things, and I think even sometimes people, they might think PT is just you go sit on a table and do some kickouts with ankle weight on or something. But like at my clinic, we usually get back to some pretty high level active things, and can help people bridge the gap from being in pain to getting back to lifting weights or playing a sport or whatever activity that they are hoping to get back to. So
one thing that I've noticed a lot, physical therapists do a lot of massaging of individuals, especially in areas that they are feeling very sore because that's where their injury is, so on and so forth. Helps relieve that tension and then maybe a muscle. But okay, so I call it a gun. And it's not a gun, but it's one of those those things that basically pulsate on your skin. A massager,
massage gun. Yeah.
I mean, are those good? I've heard that sometimes if you do it the wrong way, you can cause more injury than you do help.
I don't think they're bad. I think with anything, there's probably a good dose and a too much dose. But for certain things, sure, I don't think they're bad. There's other injuries where I probably wouldn't be digging in too much with it, but it depends a little bit on what you're dealing with and what part of the body. So.
I've seen athletes out, like on NFL, I've seen a lot of athletes out on the sidelines with those things on, and I'm like, all right, I'm not the only person who uses it, so that's a good sign. But what's some advice though? Chronic pain is huge.
It is.
And some people are like, I can't afford to go to a physical therapist, and a lot of times you have to get a recommendation from a doctor to go see a physical therapist. What's something if somebody has chronic pain can do? I'm getting into the prevention again, but we're not going to be talking about what's something that somebody could do who has chronic pain that can't maybe come see you.
Sure. Yeah. And it's tough because, sometimes you need a script from a doctor and some people don't. It's about 50-50 on if an insurance plan requires a doctor script or not. Otherwise they can come see us right away off the street. But if there are obstacles to coming in, oftentimes with chronic pain, I think we like to think that a lot of our pain is mechanical in nature. Something's broken down, something's hurt, and that's why there's pain. And oftentimes pain will start with something like that. But when pain really becomes a longer process and it sticks around for much longer than a normal healing time in the body, oftentimes there's even some things within our nervous system that kind of get out of whack. It's almost like our nervous system get hypersensitive, and our brain will almost start sensing pain in an area when there's not actually damage. So there's almost this disconnect of what's actually happening in the tissue or part of your body and what your brain is sensing. It's a little bit backwards, but I think we often think of pain as an input to our body. There's something that happens to my body and it tells my brain it's painful. In reality, pain is actually an output from the brain. So our brain just gets signals and our brain chooses if something is painful or not and then sends that signal out from there. So oftentimes in the chronic pain population, there's some underlying nervous system kind of dysfunction going on. And there's some books out there on kind of, there's a couple of different names. Pain neuroscience education is one of the umbrella terms that kind of talks about this kind of nervous system being hypersensitive, mind-body connection stuff, some of those kind of titles. There's some resources out there that can help with even just kind of learning how to calm some of those things down.
All right. This is the gotcha journalism question. Chiropractor, good, bad?
There's good PTs, there's bad PTs, there's good chiropractors, bad chiropractors and stuff there. They have different thoughts than we do. And like I said, I myself, I'll perform, adjustments or cracking necks, cracking backs too, when it's, correct and needed. So there's some differences in maybe philosophy and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say black and white. You can paint in broad strokes. It's probably not a wise thing to do, but there's good ones and bad ones, just like there's good PTs and bad PTs. So,
all right. right, good answer. Okay, I see you're going to stay middle of the road on that one. All right, well, we're going to take another quick break here, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the top 5 things you can do to have a healthy lifestyle so you don't have to come see Dr. Austin. All right, so stay tuned. We've got more Lincoln coming up in just a minute. And welcome back to Lincoln. I'm Sean Wheat, along with Dr. Austin Horn. I almost said it like it's spelled. Horan.
I get Horan a lot. That's okay.
And we're talking about physical therapy. And again, the whole entire point of the show, if you're just tuning in, is to link people together here in Lincoln. And I'm going to find local business. Obviously, it's called LOPT, Lincoln Orthopedic Physical Therapy. That's who he's with. And so it's a local business. And I love talking about local businesses. And now the doc has come up with the top 5 lifestyle habits you can do at home to stop yourself from having to go see the doc. And so I'm going to let you take over with your first piece of advice.
Okay.
Go
All right.
for it.
I'd say the first thing I would recommend is just daily physical activity.
Okay.
I think sometimes the people are not physically active. It can feel like a big hurdle to start that, but the research is pretty clear. Any positive change you make, whether it's from no activity to a little activity or a little activity to a little more, really reaps very big benefits when it comes to overall health.
So taking a short walk.
Yeah, even something like taking a short walk, or if you are walking, maybe it's a second walk or a little bit longer walk or things like that. I know physical inactivity is kind of a crazy thing I was reading the other day. Carries the same mortality risk or risk of dying as smoking, cardiovascular disease, and type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
So even just getting more active can be big for that. And there's a lot of research going into longevity and people who live longer. And a lot of people will talk about zone 2 cardio. And that's kind of like a lower level cardiovascular activity. It could be a brisk walk where you can still hold a conversation, but you're getting close to get out of breath. Really being linked to longevity and health. So even a brisk walk, something as simple as that, can really have a lot of health benefits.
So getting that heart rate up.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Number 2.
Yeah. Number 2, weight training, I would say is a big one. Someone who lifts weights even 1 day a week, they drop their risk of dying from any cause by 30%. So even just 1 day a week of doing that can reap some big benefits physically, for injury risk, bone health reasons. People who lift weights or have more muscle mass, they have 30 to 40% decreased risk of fractures, which is huge. And even from a cognitive perspective, people who have higher muscle mass are 42% less likely to have dementia. So even, I know a lot of us probably know people, have loved ones that suffer from that, and that's a really hard thing to walk through, but a lot of protective stuff from that. So it's pretty wild, even just muscle mass, how much that can play a role in some of those bigger health outcomes, let alone if you go to specific parts of the body, even like the strength of your back muscles and the likelihood to have back pain are very strongly linked.
I've got chronic back pain.
Sure, yeah, strength of hip muscles and several lower body injuries. Your quad strength is the number one predictive factor for having knee pain. So a lot of the strength and size of those muscles can really play a big part of overall health when it comes to disease or even death, and even on the lower level of injuries to specific body parts. So weight training is a great one for sure.
All right, now we move on to number 3.
Number 3, healthy diet, and there's a lot that can go into this, but I think if we think about it from a pain perspective or an inflammation perspective, kind of 2 of the strongest links with diet and inflammation in the body would be fiber and sugar intake. So a higher fiber, lower sugar diet would decrease inflammation. The opposite would be true. If we lower fiber, higher sugar, we're more likely to have inflammation in the body, have pain in areas and stuff there. So
top of that, it makes you regular.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, another benefit there. So fiber, I think the easiest way to think about it is whole fruits, whole vegetables. Carry a lot of fiber and also lower in sugar.
The only reason I know that is because I may have heard that myself. I'm just saying. This is why I get a professional to talk about it, not me. Number 4.
Stress management. Once again, the more stressed out we are, the more inflammation we'll have in our body and the more likely we are to have pain. I think a really practical, easy thing to do is even just some breath work or some breathing techniques, which we can do one together if you want to right here.
Okay, I'm game. Let's keep going.
Okay.
We'll do it here in a minute.
This is called a cyclic sigh. So what it is it is a 4-second inhale through the nose as deep as you can.
Okay, hold on. Let me take this out. I'm gonna get it a little bigger so everybody can see us as we do it here.
Okay.
So, all right.
So it'll be a 4-second inhale through the nose as deep as we can. When we get to the end, we'll get one more little sniff at the top, and then we'll go 10 seconds slow out through the mouth. Okay. So it'll look something like.
It almost looks like a hiccup.
It's actually the best way to get rid of a hiccup is to do that with 2 extra sniffs at the top. So
2 extra. All
extra,
right,
yeah.
The man has found the cure to hiccups, ladies and gentlemen. 2 at the end of a 4-second inhale.
There you go.
So it's okay to inhale here. So there. I did not inhale. I'm kidding. I'm just having fun. So
yeah. So that cyclic sigh is a great way to decrease stress levels in the body and therefore inflammation. Some research shows if you can even get 5 minutes of that in during the day, even if it's spread out, that can help throughout the day decrease stress levels kind of all throughout the day. So
a little lightheaded there, Okay.
Work into it a little bit. So I do 2 minutes on my drive to work. I do 2 minutes on my way home from work, and I do 2 minutes in bed. So easy way to get 5+ minutes into that.
All right, so we've got daily physical activity, weight training, healthy diet, stress management, all the things I don't do. And what's the last one?
Healthy sleep habits is huge too. So I
am 0 for 5.
This is probably actually the strongest link to inflammation and pain. Would be poor sleep. And people talk a lot about when they're in pain, they don't sleep as well. They've actually found a lot of research that oftentimes poor sleep comes before pain even, and can be a player into that. So. I think some simple ones to think about what are things that correlate most strongly with good sleep would be a cool room, a dark room, consistency
of kids, none of that.
Sure. Consistency of bedtime and wake times, keeping that consistent is very important. Also things like artificial light or screen time, decreasing the amount of light we see before bed, are all things that can play a part in that.
Yeah, but what do you tell somebody who has to fall asleep with TV on?
Well, even if they are able to fall asleep, that blue light and seeing that would actually kind of fragment or disrupt their sleep pattern. So even if they do fall asleep, it's similar to someone who some people say, I need some alcohol to fall asleep, and they think they fall asleep better, and they might be able to fall asleep better with the alcohol, but it actually will impair their sleep in a similar way that viewing screens or light before bed will actually, even if they can fall asleep with it, the quality of their sleep will be lower and they won't get as quality of sleep.
All right, so daily physical activity. Something I got to work on. Weight training. I used to be good at it. So my nickname is Rhino because I'm a big guy. And when I was in radio, I was a country music radio DJ morning show. And yeah, my nickname was Rhino. So I called it, what is it? Fit Rhino is what I would do when I would go to the Y. And then I got injured. I hurt my foot. And then I stopped going to the Y, and of course that doesn't help. So a healthy diet, and that's really hard. That's really hard to have a healthy diet. And this is I'm going to get into another question here that's kind of loaded, but it's sad that I can eat more food cheaper at McDonald's than I can a healthy diet. I mean, some people, and I get it. It's too expensive to have a healthy diet. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's hard. I think a lot of it's priorities too. I know in the U.S., I think the average person spends about 9% of their income on food. I think in Europe that number is about 20%. So I think they value good quality food and they eat that more. Whereas here, I think convenience, maybe easier to eat, palatability is a little more higher priority. It is hard though, because it's more expensive. It takes more time to eat healthy, and that's not easy. It definitely requires some life change.
Like me, I'm after I head out of here, I'm hitting up Taco Bell, and I got to go do more stuff because I got kids at football games right now. So,
yeah,
piss poor excuse. Maybe I could have packed a better snack, but all right. Stress management is, as I said, the next one. Oh, but I want to go back to healthy diet.
Yeah,
and the Ozempics, the stuff like that.
Sure.
So we have these. There are some people who literally have a problem. Obviously, it's maybe diabetes or, are on the edge of being diabetic. And then there are some folks who just can't lose weight, maybe at a thyroid issue or a psychological issue. I don't know.
Sure.
I'm one of those people who I've worked out. I would go daily walks. I'd walk a mile, 2 miles. I'd start jogging a little bit in there. And, okay, I lost the weight. And then I hit a plateau. And I can't, I lose that encouragement because of that plateau. So some folks are like, take an Ozempic, but God knows that's stupid expensive, and insurance companies really don't want to pay for it. By the way, my take on this is insurance companies, if you don't want to pay lots of bills later, maybe you should provide what's good now. But that's just me. That's just me.
Amen.
What is your position on stuff like Ozempic to help people who can't get over that plateau, or who get discouraged or lose faith in themselves because they hit a plateau and can't lose weight?
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a great question to ask your medical doctor too, because that's definitely their realm of expertise there. I think it's always good to try lifestyle changes, to be diligent about even the 5 things we mentioned here today. All can play a role with healthy weight as well. But for some people, there's more going on, and some of those things could be helpful adjuncts. So I think it's a great question to bring up with your doctor, if you really feel like you have. Even if you have, though, oftentimes it's, even with like Ozempic or drugs like that, they find when you're on them, people tend to do well, but when people get off them, oftentimes they gain the weight back. So if the lifestyle change,
I did that too.
Yeah. No, so if the lifestyle change doesn't come with it, oftentimes it'll just kind of revert back to where it was. So that's where I think even if you are going to do that, having those lifestyle changes, kind of worked out ahead of time are important too. Because if you want it to be a lasting change, it needs to be more of a habits change than just take a pill and it'll be a better kind of thing. So.
No, but maybe it's the lazy man's version of losing weight, but I really have been that person. I know the struggle of hitting that plateau and working hard and not seeing results. Yeah. It's just so darn difficult. But then, life gets busy, stuff like that. I would like to see it to where I could take an Ozempic or Wegovy or whatever it's called and get to a manageable, and there's the key. It's embarrassing for somebody like me to go to the Y and, work out with all these people who are buffed up and thin and fit and look good. And there's also that psychological problem that we have, and it is getting over ourselves in a sense. I guess that's the best way to put it, but getting over ourselves to be able to have the confidence to go back to a Y or a gym and feel good. I would love to get on it and then get to the point where I feel like it's a manageable weight and then go into the lifestyle.
Sure.
So I'm running into that issue, but that's a whole other topic. I know I've had that conversation with my doctor. My doctor's like, okay, we could try this, but your insurance company's not going to pay for it. So you're paying thousands of dollars out of pocket for the GLPW expertise. And I don't know. I'm not a medical professional, so.
Well, like you said, it'd be nice if the insurance companies paid for more preventative services, and they'd save themselves a lot of money in the back end if they did. But it's frustrating and unfortunate when they don't.
It's really sad. It really is. All right. Well, we have been talking for over an hour, over half an hour here. We're coming up on 45 minutes. So anything else you want to add about your job that many people, that you'd want people to know, or have anything else to say?
No, nothing particular. Thanks for having me, Sean. Appreciate it.
Glad to have you on. Again, if you have a need for physical therapy, of course, you go to LOPT. Make sure you consult your primary care physician before you do, especially if you have a major need and you need something orthopedic done. Go see your primary care provider, because they have the x-rays, stuff like that, and they can get you in contact with the right type of physical therapist that you may need. Otherwise, Doc, thanks so much. Really
Yep.
appreciate you coming on. And of course, if anybody has any questions, they can visit your website, maybe send you an email.
Yep, lpt.com. We have several clinics across town, different parts of town. So if you find one that's close to you, or want to come work with me or whoever, you can find whoever you want to work with and find where they're at. And you can call, even if you call your insurance company too. Like I said, it's kind of a mixed bag on if you do need a doctor's note. If you don't, you're able just to come in and get to working with us.
All
so.
right. Dr. Austin Horn, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
All right, that's Lincoln. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with a new topic. And, of course, if you have a topic that you want to discuss, you can, of course, reach me. And I'm going to put my contact information down at LNL Sean on X and or sean.wheat@graymedia.com is the best way to reach me as well. But I'd love to hear your topics. It's about linking Lincoln together for everybody. So please let me know what your thoughts are. Otherwise, have a great weekend. Enjoy. Looks like it's going to be another warm week. 10-11's got your weather forecast coming up a little bit later. Make sure you tune in. Otherwise, have a good one. Really appreciate you.
.1011 News is everywhere. Download our smart TV apps and follow us on social media at 1011 News. .1011 News is everywhere. Download our smart TV apps and follow us on social media at 1011 News.